Hello, Globies. This is a new adventure for me. I am taping an interview at night. Well, you have to tape when you meet people and when they're available. And I came across a gentleman here in Pismo Beach, beautiful Pismo Beach, who built out a cargo trailer. And he has some really unique features that I just knew my Globies would want to see. So without much further ado, let's get going, and I'm going to introduce you to Mike and his beautiful self-built cargo trailer. Well, hello, Mike.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this spur-of-the-moment interview on my YouTube channel, showing us your beautiful self-built cargo trailer. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how long is your cargo trailer?
It's 16 feet long with a 2-foot V nose, and it's 7 feet wide.
And what do you tow it with?
I tow it with a Dodge Ram pickup truck.
Now, how long you live in here full time?
I've been in here 9 months.
And how long have you been here?
I've been roaming around Pismo and Morrow and San Luis for about 6 months.
Okay. Now, can you tell my viewers how you happened to decide to move into a cargo trailer?
I rode the motorcycle across the country a couple years ago, and I loved it, but I got stuck in snow and in rain, and I just wanted to ride my motorcycle but not deal with elements as much. And so I decided to sell my house, get rid of my furniture, and live simply for a year. And so I built this trailer in about 2 months. It was originally to carry 3 motorcycles, and then I whittled it down to 1. And so that's how I wound up here.
So now, where do you park your trailer?
About 90% of the time I park at campgrounds. The other 10% of the time, sometimes it's along PCH or some parking spot where I don't think I'm going to get ticketed. Sometimes Harvest Hosts, sometimes Boondockers Welcome, sometimes just in Zuma Beach in Malibu you can park along the beach there for 3 days. And so, but when I'm up here, it's usually in a campground.
Now, you mentioned that you were going to try something more simple for a year. Now, you said you've been doing this for 9 months?
Correct.
So your year is almost up. So what are you going to do at the end of the year?
I don't know. I'm enjoying this. I like the lifestyle. I live this way. I live very outdoors and simply. I sleep great in here, and so I have no reason other than maybe a long shower. But I shower at the gym usually, and that works for me.
So you mentioned to me, we spoke a little bit before we started the interview, that you moved out of a 5,400 square foot house. So do you feel deprived?
Not at all. Like the first couple weeks, not even maybe the first week, this was a lot more like crowded because I had kind of brought more stuff than I needed. And so I whittled stuff down, and I still probably have 4 tubs of stuff, stored underneath or in the truck that I could probably get rid of, like a Vitamixer, that I haven't used in 9 months.
Okay, let's look around and see some of the things that you have done. Now, I see for the wall, you've used beadboard.
That's correct.
Okay, and then for your sink, tell us about that sink. That kind of looks like a laundry.
It is. It's a laundry sink, a utility sink. That and most of the cabinets I got all scratch and dent from Lowe's. I did, on a lot of it to reduce weight, I cut holes all on the innards of it to lighten up a little bit because I knew I was going to screw it to walls into the floor.
Okay, and then I'm looking across here and I see a map here with several outlines. So these are trips that you've taken by motorcycle or car? Or
motorcycle trip, camper trips or car trips with my either alone, solo, or with my 2 sons.
Wow. And then I'm seeing that you have a butane stove that you use for your cooking?
Yep, probably 90% of my cooking is done on that butane stove.
Now tell me a little bit about, I'm looking at this beautiful, beautiful live edge wood table. Tell me, is there a story behind that?
I work in technology most of the time, but I also write, and so I wanted to write on something that was closer to nature. So I built this desk about 15 years ago, or it was a desk. It was probably 50 inches long and maybe 10 more inches wide. And I wanted to have something with me from my home, so I cut it down and turned it into the table.
Now I see you took a piece of wood and also did something similar for your countertop.
Correct. This was another piece of wood I'd bought on just a trip to Tennessee, and just had it sitting in my garage. I was going to do something with it, and it's actually two pieces of wood. I glued it together and made the countertop.
Now I see that you have a Dometic over here. Is this a freezer or a refrigerator?
It's a fridge freezer. You can set it the temperature. It's only got one spot in it, so that one spot is whatever the temperature is. But I freeze ice blocks in there, cooler packs, and then I move them to a Yeti. So anything frozen stays in there, and then anything that's below around 40 degrees is in the Yeti.
So how do you know what the temperature is?
So the Yeti has I have a little remote thermometer in there, and then a digital readout on the wall. And so when that gets to 45, I just swap out the ice packs.
Okay. Now, one question that everyone always asks me is, where do you use the bathroom?
I just use the old bucket system with like a snap-on toilet lid.
So there's your
right there.
There's your toilet. Okay, that does the job. Now, how about for hygiene and cleaning?
I shower mostly at the gym, but I also built this shower. During COVID, especially when I was traveling across the country, a lot of campgrounds were closed, so I put this shower system in. And so the shower, there's a little receiver on the floor here. I pull the drain out.
Oh, wow.
And then I can drop this base into that. And
then how do you keep the water out of everywhere?
I have a shower curtain right here on this flexible track, and just pull it around there.
Okay, now is that one piece?
It's all one piece, yep.
Okay, and it just, you say flexible, so it bent,
yep,
and you could...
It's like a metal inside of it. And then I have this little shower hose with a battery powered pump, kind of like this, that drops into a bucket, and it just pumps water over just like a regular shower.
Now this is your sink system. You just have this pump, I see, that's going into a jug here.
Yep, 1 gallon bottle of water that I swap out probably every other day, and just use this. It's a USB chargeable pump that goes on top of like a 5-gallon water bottle.
Now over here I'm noticing you have a motorcycle. What kind of motorcycle is that?
I do. It's a Honda Fury Chopper. It's pretty long, so it goes all the way to the back. In my storage under there, I have 3 surfboards, 2 bicycles, and then the whole bed actually goes up and down. And so
oh my goodness! So you've got it on a lift?
Yep. And so it goes all the way to the ceiling. So I'd originally thought I might, if I didn't have the motorcycles or something there, I'd turn that into like a living room or something, and that way I could put the bed all the way up. But I've never used it for a living room.
Wow.
It's really just my storage area.
So, if you could change anything, would you change anything in here?
I'd probably not have the shower, because I could shower at Planet Fitnesses or the gym or other places, and
okay.
So it's probably too much of a luxury. I could still wash my hair in the sink if I wanted to. I wouldn't have put a TV in, honestly. I've never watched that TV once. It's I put it in, and it's never been plugged in. I just I'm so busy doing other stuff.
So if someone is living in a 5,400 square foot house, to a lot of people that's almost a mansion. So if someone is in a home, a sticks and bricks, even if it's not 5,400 square foot, but they're thinking of moving into a mobile lifestyle, what would you say to them?
I'd say just it's a big change, and as long as you don't I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's so simple, and you live in the world instead of living in a space. And so I don't look at this. I mean, it's my home, but I also don't live it as where I live. I live outside, and I live on trails and in the ocean, and so this is just. I mean, I lay down and I'm asleep in 5 minutes every night.
So you're saying that most of the time because we spoke a little bit before we started the interview on tape, and you were saying that if you went back to a sticks and bricks, you'd probably just be watching TV. But now every weekend you're out exploring and seeing sights and just enjoying your life.
Yeah. I mean, I finish work on Friday and I just pick a new direction to go, whether it's to San Simeon or it's exploring new trails in San Luis Obispo, or it's heading over to Yosemite or down to LA. Every weekend is something new.
So I interview a lot of people who live in their mobile settings, but they're not working a job that's at one location. You're working at one location.
Yep.
And living in your trailer and then using the weekends or your days off to travel. Wow, sounds like a dream come true.
And I have 17 team members that work for me, and they all know I live in a trailer, and they're all like in awe. And I've had a couple of them come over and have campfires with me, and it's great.
Well, where do you have anything on your bucket list that you're planning to, or a place you're planning to visit?
I'm trying to hit every trail in San Luis Obispo County, at least, this section of the county from Pismo to San Simeon, and just hike every trail. So I'd say it's probably a pretty big bucket list. There's a lot of trails around here. But eventually I'll get back out on the road again. I don't know how soon, but there's just the whole U.S. I mean, I've done most of the U.S. or what most people would think, but when you really start getting into the little tiny places that are, when your second or third trip around the country, you find a whole new set of things to visit. And so I am looking forward to being back on the road again one day.
Well, Mike, thank you so very much. And maybe after your year's up, we'll check back and see if, in fact, you're going into your second, third, or fourth year. So we'll see you on the road, and thank you so much for taking this time with us.